Hi, I am Greg Wells, and welcome to my studio, Rocket Carousel Studio, here in Los Angeles. It's a place that used to be an auto mechanic shop in the 40s, and I built it with a lot of help from the ground up. I am a record producer and a mix engineer and a songwriter and a musician on several different instruments. I've been obsessed with music since I can remember. I was playing in any band that would have me. Punk bands, rock cover bands, jazz, Dixieland, lots of Dixieland, every high school band I could get into. Just obsessed. Totally obsessed. Never realized that I could do this professionally. I don't think anyone around me realized that that was an option. We all thought going into music would mean instant drug addiction and basically the end of my life. And then I would say the big turning point was the English artist Mika. Somehow got in line to produce a couple songs for him. Tommy Mottola, who was one of the guys that signed Mika, heard a record that I had done that didn't sell anything, but he liked it, and it was on his label. And he said, "I think you're going to be a good fit with this kid I've just signed." And we tried 2 songs, and one of them was Grace Kelly, which we recorded really pretty quickly. And I wound up doing the whole album, and I was really proud of it. And I never knew that it was going to sell millions of records. Like, I had no idea. I knew that he would be noticed because he's really talented. I knew it would make some kind of noise somewhere. And when it came out, the first single came out, this song called Grace Kelly, and it went to number 1 within a week in England, and it stayed at number 1 for 7 weeks. Just sat at number 1 for 7 weeks, and I was just like, Mika and I were emailing each other going, "What's going on?" He was back in London, I was here in LA, and then the record blew up, and it sold almost 6 million copies. It stayed at number 1 on the European album charts for 2 months, and everything changed. That record changed my career. I am super involved in mixing, super involved in mastering, both very, very important stages of record making. I am often either the person mixing the album, like the 21 Pilots record or all the Mika stuff. I've mixed some Katy Perry stuff. The first time I spoke to Katy Perry on the phone, I felt like I was getting electric shocks from the phone. We met, and she was really young. I think she was 19, and we wrote a song together pretty quickly. Then wrote another song together, and then wound up working together a lot. And I've worked with her on every record that she's made. She has such a vision, and I find that I'm only as good as whomever I'm working with. So if I'm working with someone that really sees a thing that they're trying to get done, that's always the most fun for me. But she pulls a thing out of me that doesn't happen very often in the studio, and hopefully vice versa. So this is the first of 3 pianos in here. They're all really different. This is a tack piano, literally has thumbtacks in the hammers. Really charming. Katy Perry's track, You're So Gay, this thing is all over it. It's one of the main instruments in the track. It's a story I've told before, but this is the piano, and this is the piano bench where I heard this chord progression in my head driving in to write with Adele, and I played the chords for her, and she's like, "Oh, I like that. Can you keep playing it?" So I kept looping it and playing it over and over and over again. And she's walking around this room, had a little notepad, just kind of like making little sounds, sort of mumbling. And then she said, she pulled up a chair and said, "Can I sing it for you? It might be terrible. What do you think?" And she, in full voice, sang the chorus, which Starts on a C above, middle C, in full voice. It sounded incredible, and I almost just fell off this bench. I don't think anybody realized that Adele was going to sell upwards of 25 million copies worldwide. It was just really obvious that like her first record, 19, is great. She's such an incredible singer, and now the world knows she's as good a songwriter as she is a singer. There was no denying that she was a really kind of incredible, special talent that burned really bright. She was here for 3 days. She really was 21 years old when making that record. And she was an absolute delight. Just like everything you would hope that she would be, she's that, and she's much more. She's really funny, she's really bright, she's very sweet, she is very self-deprecating, and just very focused. She's a really, really, really great writer. We spent a lot of time in the piano room with me playing and her singing. It's a very spoiling experience. I feel really lucky to have met and worked with her for those 3 days. I really, really, really am still obsessed with music and obsessed with recorded music and how to make a great record, because it's really hard to make a great record. One of the things that I always do when I'm working on a track with a singer on it, which is like basically all the time, I try to get vocals, even if they're just rough scratch vocals, I try to get them immediately, like to a click track with like someone strumming an acoustic guitar or playing simple chords on the piano. No drums, no nothing, just let's have a vocal. And then that lets me approach things in a mixy way, because mix balances always change the minute you put a singer on a vocal. You can have this incredible instrumental track, put a singer on it, all of a sudden you need way more of this, way less of that. That thing conflicts with the vocal. You know, the vocal is the most important instrument in the entire track. Nothing is more important than the lead vocal. And everything should be there to support the effect of that instrument being the storyteller. So these two vocal microphones, it took me years to find them. For years, I wanted this sort of classic, amazing, Holy Grail 47, like an old Neumann tube U47 microphone. It's just unbelievable. I've used it on, any singer sounds incredible in front of it. And I found that once the vocals and the drums sound great, it makes everything else sound great. So this mic is so good, as is this one, which I'll talk about in a second, that you don't even hear the mic. It just disappears. You hear the singer, you feel everything. It's like a great camera lens. It just captures the life of what you're recording. This is also made by Telefunken USA. It's a prettier sounding mic. There's a little more detail on top, a little more like real air. It's great on quieter vocals. Sometimes it's better on female vocals than this guy. This is a bit more like I'm wearing a smoking jacket and chomping on a cigar kind of mic. But between these two, I also just love like an SM7 mic, or even a 57. Just one of the cheapest mics you can buy. They sound great on vocals too. But I'm very happy with what we got going here. And singers always comment on the vocal sounds here, and I know this has so much to do with it. Investing in a great mic really solves a lot of problems. My very first session as a multi-instrumentalist, I was 14. I was 14 years old. I remember walking into the studio and seeing, I think it was an SSL console, and just feeling crushed with disappointment that I would never, ever be able to understand that stuff. It looked so intimidating and so scary. All those knobs and all those buttons. And I loved it. I mean, I couldn't get enough of it. I couldn't believe I was let through the door, There's so many, amazing engineers out there that came up, working on tape and didn't have computers and had to figure out the importance of microphone placement. When I finally got to work with the legendary Al Schmidt, he told me that he learned at his uncle's studio. He said he learned from his uncle. It's all about where he put the mic and the choice of microphone. And if you get that right, you don't really need to EQ or do much of anything. It's the sound of it is picking the right mic and putting it in the right place, and then recording something really worthwhile, something worthy of being recorded. And I've learned a lot from like the minute in some of my early record productions where there was a budget to hire a great mixer. I immediately pursued people like Chris Lord-Alge and Spike Stent and Michael Brower, and it's a long list. The minute I had them in the room with me, I would just pound them with questions, because I have such enthusiasm for record making. Plugins of the quality that they are today are incredibly important to me because I do want things to sound as mix-ish as possible. The convenience of them is astounding. There's no turning back, In terms of record making, it means that I don't have to pay such attention to this stuff anymore, where I'm bogged down into kind of technical details of, we got to plug this into the thing and whatever. It's there. It stays with the session forever. The speed, the reliability of it, the recallability of it. You don't have to recall anything. You just open the session. There it is. It's a no-brainer. They're a huge help to me. I like to combine old and new recording equipment. I like to combine hardware with software. When I'm mixing, I almost never use hardware. However, I still like to record, with a great signal path. For instance, my mics go through this 1176. I remember on the OneRepublic record that I produced, the engineer Joe Zook ran everything through a compressor similar to this. It was one of the RCA tube compressors. Like anything we were tracking, guitar, bass, he was putting snare drum through it, definitely vocals. We were in the middle of OneRepublic's first album. The first time I heard the song Apologize, I could not believe the opening lyric, how good it is, how good it was, how good it still is. I'm hanging on your rope, you got me 10 feet off the ground. It's fantastic. That's also how the song ends. They go back to that lyric. Apologize kept getting bumped down the list of the songs we were going to work on. So we did all the songs like Mercy and Stop and Stare and all these fantastic songs on that record, but they don't feel like Apologize. And so people started saying like, we don't want to do that song, Apologize. And I would say, well, I think it's a great song. I get it doesn't sound like the rest of the record, but that's sort of my job, is to help make it cohesive and feel like it belongs. And if it doesn't belong, if we screw up, no one's ever going to hear it. We'll never play it for anybody. But I think we're silly not to try it. Like, that's why we're here. It's like, let's try it. We had finished this album with Apologize on it, the original version, and they got dropped by their label. They got dropped. Katy Perry got dropped. The Jonas Brothers got dropped because one guy quit at the label. But anyway, all these bands got dropped. So OneRepublic became the #1 unsigned band on MySpace. And they put their album up. The album we'd made, it was mixed, it was mastered. They put the whole thing up, and people were like flipping out, and they, had millions of followers and millions of plays. I fought really hard to have Apologize see the light of day. The rest is history. It's crazy. Just like trusting that gut instinct of, wow, there's something really going on here. So I would advise that to everybody out there. Like, if you have a gut feeling about a thing, even if people in the room are saying, you're wrong, no, this isn't right, try it. And maybe they're right, maybe you are wrong. But I think once you start listening to that gut instinct, that quiet little voice, you'll be right more often than you're wrong.